Oh my god, so embarrassing. I was just braiding my hair. Hey YouTube, ValidGirl5678 here, and it's time for another album review. Today we are going to be talking about this new Kacy Hill album, Bug. This is the fourth studio album from Kacy Hill, following 2021's Simple, Sweet, and Smiling, which showed her letting go of the heavy synth and vocoder, borderline experimental R&B motifs of her first two albums for a lighter sonic landscape. And after listening to this album, it's clear that she has continued on that journey to land at this album at a lovely indie pop / rock sonic landscape full of lush, plucky guitars, bouncy percussion, and contemplative lyricism. The first track, No One, is a really nice opener with lovely melodies, instrumentation, and just overall refreshing vibes. And thematically, the song sets up the main theme of the album, which is basically just contemplation on time passing and what comes with that very well. Something I find really interesting actually is that she never actually says the track title in the song No One, yet she does say it a lot on the chorus of Honey Boba Boy track 8. And further, Honey Boba Boy is sonically and thematically the most similar track to No One on the album. Like, they're almost like sister tracks in a sense. And there's actually more duality or kind of pairs of songs throughout this album, which ultimately makes for a very cohesive album in all respects. For example, on track 3, Damn, one of my favorites off the album with great instrumentation and vocals, she mentions seasons changing. And then on the closing track, If I Could Say, which is a lovely outro track that brings a lot of closure in a sort of like begin again way sense, she mentions seasons again with the line, the stillness of winter and spring, which is just a great line in its own right. There's actually more reference to seasons and the specific qualities of certain months or just moments in time throughout the entire album, which brings me to the fact that this album was released at the perfect time of the year, the beginning of spring, or the bud of spring, if you will. And nothing on this album represents that more than track 5, Fragrance, which is a sweet, contemplative, springy track with super unique production. I really love the chorus. It's just super interesting with the sort of like talking vocals and what she's saying in those vocals paired with the production. And then this track also actually connects to track 9, Poquito Mas, as both tracks, at least most definitively on the album compared to other tracks, look back at her early 20s. Poquito Mas just does it in a bit more of an upbeat or just like kind of like indie rock fashion. Another track on here that has quite unique production is Here I Am, which in many ways feels like the peak of the album before the come down or calm down of the last 3 tracks. It's also the song on this album that sounds the most like her previous stuff, with the heavy use of vocoder and synth and more R&B motifs. Track 2, Listen to You, however, has verses that gives me this as well, but then the choruses kind of bridge it with the sonic landscape of this album, which is super satisfying. Track 2, You Know I Love You Still, has really refreshing melodies and vulnerably honest lyricism. My favorite track off the whole album, however, is My Day Off, feat Nourished by Time. I first heard of Nourished by Time through their feature on Yeji's project from last year, and I loved the track they were on that project, and I love this track. Their feature is just perfect for this song, and like their voices just work so well together. They're actually quite similar artists when you like kind of take a step back and look at their separate discographies. I love the guitar on this track, and I love the line that does kind of feel like the thesis statement of this album, I Can't Keep Loving You More Than Me, which they often perform on this track together with a beautiful harmony. So overall, I really enjoy this album as a whole in order, but I also enjoy the songs individually, which is a feat. The overall aesthetic works perfectly with the music itself, and I think this is definitely the best thing she's ever made. I wouldn't say it's like my favorite album of the year, but it's definitely my favorite album of hers, mostly in that her past discography, a lot of it has felt forced, even when it is, you know, objectively good. I have often found myself when listening to her music in the past feeling a bit like, you know, okay, she's trying to give something particular, and you can tell that she's having to put it on in a sense. And that's fine. I never like judge that or think that's inherently bad, but it's very clear now hearing this album that this is the most genuine to herself she's ever been as an artist and probably as a person. Like, nothing felt forced here. And it almost seems like with this project, she has found her genuine self through finding her genuine sound. So I'm gonna give this album a 7. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, don't forget to subscribe and remember to smash that like button. Follow me on Spotify, Instagram, and TikTok, all linked below. Make sure to keep up with my Song of the Week series on YouTube Shorts that comes out. It used to be every Friday, but it's turning into every Saturday. And yeah, have a great rest of your day. Bye.